Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this new webinar from Dowway UK called Entrance and Exit Solutions. My name is Simon Nash, and it's my pleasure to be able to talk to you today about this new and exciting area. In fact, the first webinar of its kind that we've launched in the UK. Welcome to everybody to the webinar. We've got a record number of people joining today, so if you're joining us for the first time, you're very welcome, and welcome to the success story that is our webinars. So before we kick off with the actual body of the webinar, just want to share with you some of the upcoming webinars and events that we have coming up later in Q4. So in a couple of weeks' time, we have a new webinar coming out, Intelligent Displays. So this is introducing the next generation of our display screen technology. So there's a date for your diary there on the 17th of November. The registration is online for these things, so you can easily go in and register or pre-register for this already. We also have a key installation partner event on the 26th of November. This is an invitation only event. More details of this are online. If you're not one of our installation partner, an existing installation partner, please go to our website, and there's an opportunity there for you to register and take part in this unique event. And then starting right at the beginning of December, we've got the new another webinar, the DSS, which stands for Digital Surveillance System. That's the piece of software that we're going to be talking about throughout the course of this webinar. So that's a little bit about what's coming in the future. So today we're going to be focusing on entry and exit solutions for both people and vehicles. So let's take a look at some of the subjects that we're going to be talking about throughout the course of the next 40 minutes or so. To start with, because a lot of the entry and exit solutions are based on ANPR, we'll take a look at some of the ANPR market growth, and we'll look at how we can use ANPR to control the entry and exit of vehicles into, say, a parking area, maybe a hotel or some hospitality setting, or any form of parking where you need some ANPR functionality. So that's on the ANPR side and the parking side. But what about facial recognition for getting people in and out of buildings if it's linked to maybe an access control solution? So we'll take a little bit of information about facial recognition and how that controls the entry and exit of people to and from buildings. Finally, we'll wrap up on where to buy Dowway, and then we have Q&A. It's very difficult on this platform to take live Q&A due to audio limitations at your end and possibly at our end. So if you have a question that you'd like to raise with us, please use the chat box on your screen, and you're very welcome. And we have a team of people that are here that are all too ready just to take the questions and answer them live for you. So let's start by taking a look at the ANPR market. This is not our analysis. This is coming from industry analysts. So really the key interests here is that the COVID-19 pandemic has significantly impacted, as you know, we watch the news every day, it's impacted global business. But there is always growth shown in the ANPR market segment. So it's somewhere between 7.5 and 8% year-on-year growth in 2020. But we've seen, and market research has seen, that after the COVID outbreak, there is a significant demand for ANPR solutions. And you can see that there. That's very much on a global level. If we have a look more on a local level, we see more break it down perhaps into Europe. We can see that the highest market set for growth is the European market. So between 2020 and 2030, there's $1.9 billion worth of growth. So huge amount of growth in the market. And as I said, the regional market in Europe is expected to grow significantly at that level, which is 33.9% compared to 33.9% in 2019. So we know the market growth is there. So how are we going to capitalize on that? Well, let's look at some of those different opportunities. So to start with, there are always new parking projects. So we know greenfield sites, often they're building car parks. In where I live in Berkshire, they're building a new car park in the town centre. So there are always new parking facilities. So we can talk to the management companies there. We can focus on the demand of the end user, providing a differentiated solution for that project. What about upgrading existing projects that are using card readers or RFID? So we can easily upgrade, and you'll see later in the webinar, we can easily upgrade those solutions, those existing RFID solutions. We can upgrade them to use the latest ANPR technology. We can interface to third-party solutions using Wiegand protocol and integrate to third-party access control systems. But there's also general surveillance and security projects that are out there. So providing people management or vehicle capture solutions just for general projects. So again, it doesn't have to be a parking solution in a car park. It might be an application like a hotel that wants to recognize when their VIP customers are coming into their facility. So being able to log on a whitelist the VIP customers and provide general surveillance as part of the overall security package is a very, very easy thing to do. So we're going to start in a moment by looking at, that's a little bit of the background. Let's start by looking at some of the challenges and the requirements that this makes. So to start with, if we look at the current status and we compare that very much to the customer requirements, we can say pretty much that most parking solutions it's generally accepted that most of the parking solutions are pretty inefficient. Yeah, it's not a very difficult task, but you have to wind down your window. You have to often take a ticket if they're not currently using ANPR. And the amount of times I've been stuck behind somebody, and I'm sure perhaps it's happened to you too. You're stuck behind somebody that has that stopped too far away from the terminal, and they can't reach their ticket, so they're trying to get out their ticket, or they drop their ticket, and then they've got to try and open the door, but they can't open the door because they're parked too close. All these things happen. I've seen it so many times, and I find blowing your horn doesn't really resolve the situation. So the system currently is pretty inefficient. It's okay if you take the ticket, no problem at all, but when people can't reach, they can't find the ticket, they drop the ticket, or it's raining, then very, very difficult to resolve that situation. It's also pretty unsafe. I imagine most of you, like me, when you look around the entry to a car park, you often see there's plenty of paint on the bumpers around the barrier system, and that's because people can't always drive in and avoid those solutions. So there's lots of paint scrapes, there's lots of damage to vehicles, there's lots of damage to the equipment. So it's a pretty unsafe solution. And there's also a lot of inconvenience. As I said, if somebody drops their ticket or they get to the exit and they haven't paid, they've got to press the help button, they've got to try and take payment. So it's it can be a pretty inconvenient solution. So that's the current status of where we find ourselves. If we look at the requirements of the customers tell us they would like to have an automated solution. They'd like quick operation, so there's no queuing. They can get people in and out of the car park as quickly as possible. They'd like it to be highly accurate, so that there is no discrepancy or no dispute over parking times. They'd like it to be reliable and convenient, and therefore, and also minimizing the amount of any civil work that's needed to dig up the concrete around the entrance or exit to the car park. So all of those things coupled together create an ideal opportunity to sell an ANPR solution from Dahua. Okay, so how are we going to address some of those challenges? Well, we have firstly an ANPR. If you look over on the left-hand side, we have ANPR to open automatically. So we know as the person approaches the parking barrier, it will log automatically their details. The barrier can open. So it's a convenient automated system. So ticking one of the boxes that our customers told us they wanted when they listed out their requirements just now. So the barrier is opening, but we want it to open lots of times. Therefore, the need to have a reliable barrier is very important. Dahua make an entire range of cameras, a range of barriers. Some of them are articulated, some of them are 3, 4, 5, or even 6 meters in one swing. So in a single movement. So we make a range of high quality, very reliable barriers that will carry on functioning for a long time, as you'll see a little bit later in the presentation. We have software that will count the number of people in. So if this is linked to our DSS software that we talked about earlier on, then we have the ability to say how many spaces are available. And just on that point, we also make a full parking solution. So sometimes you've seen the red and the green LEDs above parking bays to indicate whether they're vacant or whether they're full. We make that solution as well. That can also be integrated into this. Quite hard to retrofit that type of technology, but if you're talking to a car park operator and it's maybe a new build, a greenfield site, then a very good opportunity to sell the wider Dal parking solution there. But in its most basic form, we can tell the person driving in, we can tell them the number of free spaces on the in the car parking area. Also, we can provide entrance management software. So we use DSS. As I talked about earlier on, the DSS will provide a full list of number plates. It will provide a full list of entry times, exit times. So we can do a lot of statistical reporting using DSS. But what happens if there's a problem? Maybe the customer who's trying to enter the car park maybe has a damaged license plate or a damaged number plate, or it's dirty because it's used in the winter, and it's not possible to read the number plate automatically. Well, for that eventuality, we have a video intercom solution. So this is the kind of help button type technology, but it's video, two-way video, so that you can send video back to the control room, and you can hear the reassuring voice of the person telling you to what to do and offer guidance. So we've looked very much at the challenges. We've looked at the current situation. We've looked at the challenges and what our customers tell us. But let's have a look at some of the different solutions and really how they compare. So if we compare our ANPR-based solution to RFID or even a pure card-based solution, you can see some of the advantages and sales points over on the left-hand side highlighted in red. So the first point, it's not a low-cost solution. The card solution is generally recognized as probably the lowest cost, but there's a huge amount of paper that's needed. You need to create the cards all of the time. People lose their cards. It's not that reliable. So therefore, there's the card solution may be low cost, but actually there was a lot of negatives associated with that, not least the amount of environmental damage producing all of these cards does. The installation work is relatively easy. It's very easy to retrofit. If you have a white list of customers who are will automatically come in, then the barriers will automatically open when they approach. They can pass with great efficiency, so there's no congestion, not just going in, but also coming out as well. There's nothing more frustrating than when you've paid your parking, and you get 10 minutes to leave, and there's a queue because somebody's dropped their ticket or they've got a problem at the exit. So this system will our solution will avoid all of the delays. Also, vehicle data, history, image quality, image and video, all of that information can be stored alongside all of the video information and the reporting information from the ANPR system. Also, parking data, parking information. We can drive a display with that if necessary. Again, to indicate the number of spaces that are available on the display as you enter into the parking facility. So let's have a look at the solution itself in a little bit more detail. So this is very much the workflow of the system. So as the car enters at the top left-hand side, the number plate is captured, and if they're on the allow list, the white list, then the barrier opens, the car drives in. If, for example, in the second eventuality, the license plate is impossible for the license plate to be read, maybe it's damaged or something like that, then it's not possible to read, the barrier won't open, and therefore, in that case, the customer presses the video telephone, which is an outdoor rated device, hence the O on the end, and they get through to the control room, and the control room can manually open the barrier in that situation. If the car has a number plate that is on the blacklist and you don't want them to enter, maybe the police have given you your operator information that they're looking for a vehicle, then we can create an alarm if that list has been loaded into the software. And if there's any situation whereby somebody unidentified has come up, it's not possible to read, then they can press the VTO, the video telephone, and the concierge can control the barrier in a manual way. So that's very much the workflow based on different eventualities. Let's have a look at the solution topology. So the car enters down at the bottom left-hand side, and there are the pieces of information, the pieces of hardware that we talked about a little bit just now. So we've got the VTO, the video telephone, which is capable of talking to the control room. We've got the ANPR kit. Now, in this situation, the kit comprises not only of the camera sat atop of the pole, but also the display to indicate the amount of vacancies or spaces within the car park. And then you've got in this example, the picture is of the straight arm barrier. So those devices are, the barrier is controlled from the ANPR kit, you can see directly, and the ANPR and the VTO are linked directly back to the DSS Express and the NVR across standard network connectivity. When the person's come in, they've gone to pay the ticket, that's been validated, and now the car wants to exit. Again, we've got a duplication of the same sort of technology. So the VTO, we've got the kit again, and then the barrier. So kind of a duplication of what we've got at the entrance on the exit. So again, an integrated intercom, which really helps in the event that a car can't be recognized, or somebody has a problem with the solution. We can allow that two-way communication. So that's very much the solution topology. Let's have a look at some of the different values of the solution a bit as a recap. So the first thing is it's pretty safe. We can use radar detection. So this is a high precision device that we'll look at in a few slides time. So this is a device that can be fitted to the barrier, and this is a radar device that will detect if a car is still parked there or a person is there, so that the barrier doesn't come down and cause any injury to the person or damage to the vehicle. It's also very fast. The barrier operation is probably the fastest in the industry. It's an operation of 1.4 seconds, and we can go down as fast with a shorter barrier of 0.9 seconds. So very, very quick operation of the barrier. It's contactless, as I said earlier. There's no need to have a paper ticket, so it's very hygienic. And in the era that we're in at the moment of COVID-19 and contactless payments, etc., this really ticks a big box as far as being contactless and therefore more hygienic. Also, network resilience. This is a really key thing. Network resilience is all about storing where we store the data. So the data can be loaded into the DSS Express, and that's where all the records are held and maintained. But that white list of information can be downloaded to the ANPR cameras themselves. So if there were ever to be a problem, maybe there was some maintenance happening within the car park and one of the contractors cut through a network cable, then the system is still able to function autonomously. So having that network resilience is really important. Also integration. What about if we want to, because maybe, as I said earlier, maybe there's a retrofit opportunity. Not every site is a greenfield site. Sometimes there are barrier systems already installed, and you want to retrofit the Dahua ANPR cameras to that. Well, we can do that. So we can integrate to existing barriers, or we can interface to third-party systems and solutions like payment systems. So again, we have over 300 integration partners that we work with in Europe. Many of them can provide solutions like payment. And again, the opportunity there of integration is very high. We have an entire team of people here in the HQ in Maidenhead, where we can talk to those third parties to provide an end-to-end solution for you and your customers. Okay, let's have a little look at some of the things we've just talked about in the solution values. Firstly, I mentioned the high precision radar. So this is a device that can be fitted to our barriers, and you can see you can kind of see that in hopefully some of the drawings on the left and then in the middle. This is a radar device that will detect if a car is there, or if a person is there. And if they are detected, then, and it's incredibly accurate, if they're detected, then the barrier won't come down and cause damage, like you can see to the vehicle on the right-hand side. So again, really integrated solution, just bolts into the body of the barrier, and really prevents a lot of damage being caused and potential injury. And if you're the operator, that represents you've really de-risked a lot of the operation, and hopefully prevented potential insurance claims to be made against you. Looking at the competitors, we've got a couple of advantages there. You can see we've just listed them. Quite important when you're dealing in the car park barrier segment. 3 meters we can raise at 0.9 seconds, and 4 meters is 1.4 seconds. So incredibly quick in its own right. But when you compare those figures to the competition, you see how much quicker we are. And again, that helps with the efficiency. You know, it's half the time taken to raise the barrier. There's nothing worse. Even a barrier that takes maybe 2 seconds to raise, it's not long, it's 1, 2. But when you're waiting for it to happen, often feels like a long time. So our systems are very quick in terms of their lift-up speed. Not only are they quick, but they have an extremely wide temperature range. So incredibly good operating temperature range as well. But what if they're integrated? What if these systems are integrated to the DSS or the NVR integration? So as I showed you when we looked at the system design earlier, we have an integrated platform for the video telephone and also the ANPR camera. They sit on a common platform, and they can go back to either our DSS software and or the NVR. We can provide real-time preview and playback for video recordings. So if there is an event, if something happens, we can provide real-time preview and playback there. We've got a history, a list of the vehicles approaching and the departure. So again, from a security point of view, it's often what happens before or after makes a big difference. You know, it may be that somebody at the barrier opened, the car went through, and they didn't drive very well, and maybe they contacted one of the sides of the gate, for example, and they say, no, the barrier came down on me. Well, having that video recording really can help you as an operator, help the operator prove or disprove some of these fraudulent claims. We've got an efficient search engine, if I could say it. So the ability to be able to search by a number plate, by a still image, etc., or by alarm, it allows really quick operation there. We've got the response to the VTO. Again, this is all provided by the DSS and NVR, and we can manage the use of visitors arriving and departing from the car park. All of they can be added very quickly to the whitelist as required. So in terms of product selection, what I've done on the next couple of slides, really for your reference, rather than to cover particularly on the webinar today, but we've put some of the information about the various components that make up our solution. So the reason for doing this is it tells you the key features over on the right-hand side under parameter, but more importantly, the model number, and you can see a brief description of those items. So you can see things like the ANPR camera, the kit, which you can see on the second line, or the outdoor module for the VTO, the video telephone, the radar, etc. And if we go on to the second page, you can see some examples of the barrier and the DSS Express information there that we've been talking about. So again, those 2 pages are there for your reference, not particularly to cover during the day. Today, we'll send you a copy of the slides afterwards, so you have them on file if you ever should need them. So let's touch on a couple of success cases to start with. Firstly, this is we've picked a couple from around the region. This one is a Serbian residential community. It has a private parking facility with 400 bays, so not particularly large. But the difficulty was it had 4 entry and exit points. So we were able to install 4 of our 4 camera solutions, 1 at each entry and exit point. So we were able to improve the security. We were able to control the boom, the barrier, again with an ANPR whitelist, and that dramatically improved the efficiency and safety. Again, we also had a card reader, and we're going to touch on that in a little bit more detail later, to prevent abnormal situations. So if a number plate can't be read or you want to add people to a whitelist, you can do that. But overall, it resulted in saved labor costs. And you can see, as per the picture, certainly the picture in the middle, this is not a DAWA barrier. It was an existing barrier that was installed, but you can see our cameras working. It's integrated with that solution. So a really good example of a brownfield site where they wanted to upgrade to our ANPR solution. Okay, the other one is a Denmark taxi waiting area. And I'm sure many of you have seen the taxi waiting area before at car parks. So this is where taxis can wait for a certain period of time. So effectively, they're on a white list if they're registered with the airport, which they tend all to be. Then the barrier, instead of dispensing tickets, which it does. I mean, I've often been in taxis going back to airports, and they've got dozens and dozens of tickets in the taxi. It's all wasted paper. It's all completely inefficient. If the taxi is added to a whitelist, the barrier will, the car ANPR will certainly read the number plate. The barrier opens, they're allowed 20 minutes or whatever it is, the set down or the waiting time, and then they leave. So this system really brought about a lot of efficiency, not just in terms of the amount of tickets that were printed and wasted, but again, being able to control that access using an ANPR whitelist. Again, if they couldn't be read for any reason, the VTO will manage the abnormal situations because the driver can talk directly to the control room. So again, a very, very good example there of how we can bring a lot of efficiency to a parking solution. And from the operator's point of view, it's there's a really big advantage. From our point of view, it represents a great opportunity to be able to retrofit this sort of technology to existing and new applications. Okay, so that's the ANPR solution for barriers and car parking. Let's have a look at how we get people in and out of vehicles. We've got the cars there, but what happens? Let's look now at moving people in and out of buildings. So let's look at entry and exit solutions for pedestrians. Well, again, people entering buildings, an office building, for example. So let's start by looking at some of the challenges and the requirements, and then we'll come on to talk about solutions, product selection, and success cases later. So to start with, some of the current challenges. Well, again, many of us, I'm sure, have had perhaps experience of low-level security ID cards. These sort of things are just access control cards, many millions of them in circulation throughout the world. But the problem is, as I'm sure you've experienced and I've experienced, they can be lost, copied, sometimes falsely copied for fraudulent purposes. But it can be very difficult as well for security guards to recognize if that is a person on there. So again, the amount of business, the repeat business that is required for card duplication and replacement is huge. So there's a big environmental cost to that. There's a cost to the organization to keep replacing lost cards, and sometimes even there's a cost to the individual, because many companies say, okay, if you lose one, we'll give you one free, but then if you lose a second one, then we charge you 20 or 30 pounds. So it's low-level security because you can just give it to another person and they can be allowed access. And it's difficult to control the flow of people. It takes time to keep swiping these things in. And again, tailgating is a problem also with that. Because of the time, it can lead to excessive queuing. So again, waiting for all of these people, especially during COVID, for all of these people to get through in a rush hour period can take a lot of time. And if one card doesn't work, it can lead to a backlog very, very quickly. Also, because the system is a contact-based system, there's a risk of cross-infection. So again, in the COVID-19 era, we're trying to, wherever possible, go to contactless systems. Again, whenever you have to touch a keypad, enter a code, use a fob, use a card. These are all contact or even fingerprint. These are all contact systems. It's far better to be able to move to a contactless system. And when the system doesn't work, there's a need to interface to a security guard. and it may be a security guard in a security office. It maybe they have to go to personnel, but there's a big reliance when the system doesn't work on having a security professional to be able to manage that situation. So let's have a look at the solution that we're talking about. Okay, so this all starts with the information being able to be read. So the person's identity. So over in the top right-hand corner, you can see the facial recognition terminals. We've shown two on this slide. One is just a standard a standard access control panel. The one on the upper left, the one to the right here. This one is the TMAC, so it has the temperature module on top. So if either device is detecting a recognized face, that face is passed back to the PC for DSS Express, verified, and then the control is sent down here through the Wigan output or the RS485 output to control the turnstile. And again, you can see in this example, the turnstiles have the integrated access control display, or the TMAC, integrated into the solution as well. So the control is from the TMAC or the access control device directly to the gate, and then the verification and the management of the records is all done with the PC and DSS Express. If you need to manage, you can register people using the TMAC terminals, or you can use USB facial capture camera. So, or even a card, you can use a card issuer. So we make those solutions as well. So if you want to enroll a new person, you can do that. You can, as I said, you can do that using the camera or a manual card issuer if you wish over here. So let's take a look at some of the solution values. To start with, it's very high efficiency. So the gate speed is less than 0.6 of a second. It is the fastest opening gate in the industry. If you don't believe me, come in here to the office and have a look. You'll see it moving. It's pretty quick. So less than 0.6 of a second to open. The facial recognition speed by the facial recognition technology, whether that's the standard access control display or whether it's the TMAC or one of the TMAC solutions, is 0.2 seconds. So the combination of those two is incredibly quick. It's very safe. So we have 30 pairs of infrared detectors mounted on the inside of the gate, and you'll see that in a few slides time. But this is for anti-pinch, and also if somebody's maybe pulling a piece of luggage, or maybe they have a small child behind them, etc., the barriers aren't going to cause damage or cause injury to the person or their luggage. It's high quality, so we test, and you'll see this in some slides later. We test more than 5 million times, and I think compared to the industry averages, you'll see that's incredibly reliable. It's a contactless system, so we don't have to get people involved in touching things. It is completely contactless, and we can recognize anywhere between 0.3 and 2 meters away from the device. And of course, all of that's important, but above everything else, you've got to have accuracy. And we can deliver a facial recognition accuracy of 99%. So let's go back to the first one, high efficiency, and take a look at a little bit more information about the high efficiency. So to start with, this is for where you have a high number of people enter into the building. So a high number of people coming in maybe to an office. It's very easy for queues to build up. If one person fails to operate the system properly, maybe there's a problem with their card, etc., then queues can build up very quickly. We have the fastest unlock speed, as I said, so 20 people can pass in 20 seconds. No blocking, no waiting, no queuing. The device is also very safe. I touched on this when we looked at a summary of the benefits. We have 30 pairs of IR detectors mounted on the insides of the construction. So again, anti-pinch, anti-collision detection. So children, small children, pets, suitcases being trapped and injured is not possible with this system. So people can be detected at very close proximity because they've already been checked by the facial recognition. So the system is incredibly quick, and should it need to shut, then it can do so in a very quick time. I talked about the quality. That's very important. If you're relying on this as an entry and exit device to control people in and out of the building, it's really important that you have that you really have a high quality solution. So our solutions are tested more than 5 million times at a rate of 2,000 people per day. So based on that calculation, it's going to our systems are going to last between 6 or 7 years. And if you compare that to other barriers that are available, they average a life cycle of about 4 years. So and again, a lot less operation. So ours are stringently tested. And a lot of the quality of the reliability comes from the quality of the materials and the components that we use. So to control the device, we use a brushless servo motor. So it's very, very low noise. It's very high torque, hence it's able to achieve the opening speeds that we talked about. But because of the brushless servo design, we're also able to reduce the trembling, which you often see with access control products or gates. They move a little bit because they're not so stable. The brushless servo motor eliminates that problem. We use 304 stainless steel for a robust design. As you can imagine, people are passing this frequently, dragging bits of luggage around. It's important that if they do contact with it, then the design's not going to be, or the operation is not going to be impaired and dented and damaged by luggage. It's contactless, and not only is it contactless, but it can also cope with people from small children, people in wheelchairs, up to a height of 2.4 meters is the highest range. So I think most people tend to fall within that range. So we have an entire range of heights that allow contactless operation of the barrier. But one of the things that we said was most important was the accuracy. So we are able to achieve a high level of accuracy by virtue of the anti-fake algorithm. So if you were to try to fake this in a high security application, maybe somebody takes a picture of a known face that is that they know will operate the system, and they print it and they hold it over in front of them, which is a real problem. That really does happen. We have a deep learning AI algorithm which prevents that happening. So we have a dual core CPU, and we can store 100,000 faces actually in the device itself. Again, so you have that autonomy from the system in the event of a network outage. Often these devices are installed into reception areas of buildings, and often we find they are very often very challenging lighting conditions. So if they do have difficult lighting conditions, it's important that we have a wide dynamic range camera actually built into the access control device to be able to cope with those challenging lighting conditions. So a 2 megapixel CMOS imager is installed, and again able to adapt to difficult lighting conditions. We also, on the point of efficiency, we have bidirectional operation, so the gates can open in and they can open out. So again, if you install the access control, the facial recognition access controllers on the entry and exit points, then they can work as an in and an out, or you could have half working is in, half working is out. They can be changed and configured however the customer requires. So again, makes very efficient use of the hardware. We can produce a range of different display modes. You can display very basic data over on the left-hand side, to a thumbnail of the image, to a full record. So all of that information is stored in the database. And again, you can share as much or as little of that information as you wish to ensure information security. But what about enrolling new people? Well, the way we do that is either on the device itself, or you can do that using the DSS Express. So again, you can create and you can add and edit users and upload pictures using DSS Express. Don't forget, we've got the USB camera that can be connected to the DSS Express via USB. Capture the person, create the record, broadcast that to the readers that are on the system. The system goes live. You can group into particular channels. You can create into different groups, authorization groups, so people have access to some, just like a standard access control system. They have access to some entrance and exits, but not others. So very customizable solution. Again, all managed with the DSS Express software. It's also a customizable solution. So if you or your customer, if you are the customer, you want to add your own logo, we can do that. So there's a capability or a system that we have that allows that to happen. Also, you can we have voice files that are default like access granted, etc. But if you want to customize that and create your own recordings, then you can do that as well. Okay, so let's take a look at just some of the product selection. So we make an indoor and an outdoor version. Again, some of the features and scenes here are there for your reference. Again, we've talked about tested to 5 million times, the brushless motor, the build quality, etc. And again, you can control these, use these in many different applications, both indoor and outdoor. So if you need more information, then please don't hesitate to contact us about that. And for the readers, again, the TMAC is over here on the left-hand side. You can see the temperature module here. So again, adding that additional layer of security. Okay, so is Simon allowed into the building? Yes, he is. Okay, does he? You can even say, is he wearing a mask? Yes, he is. He's compliant with the mask policy. Does he have a temperature? No, he doesn't. Open the doors, grant access. But if any one of those is negative, then you don't allow access. Again, we make indoor versions without the TMAC, or we make an outdoor version as well. And finally, please don't forget that we have the USB camera, a 2-megapixel camera, or you can do the manual card reader if you require. So again, a little bit of additional information there if you ever should need it. Okay, so just on the last few slides, that is really it as far as getting people and vehicles in and out of buildings in a safe and COVID-19 friendly way. So very contactless based solutions. Don't forget the upcoming webinars and events that we have. If you'd like to find more information about the key installation partner event, please contact me or contact your local DAWA representative. Go to our website as the QR codes that we shared earlier. People often ask, where can I buy DAWA? And therefore, here's a list of the distributors that we have in the UK and Ireland. So please feel free to reach out to any of those distribution partners, and I'm sure there'll only be too willing to help you. If you have an existing contact with DAWA, that's great, fantastic, and you want any more information, please either reach out to them. My contact details are on the next slide, and we have those QR codes once again. So it only remains for me to say thank you very much for attending this webinar. I look forward to talking to you about our new display range and new display technologies in a couple of weeks' time. I think it's next Friday, I think actually, or next in a couple of weeks' time anyway. So thank you once again for attending. My details are there, and along with our LinkedIn, all the different QR codes for the ways to contact us and stay in touch. So thank you once again. I look forward to speaking to you in the near future. Have a good day. Thank you.